What's up, y'all? I'm hoping this will be a quick video, but I wanted to respond. I just had someone in my DMs ask me about this video that I posted that's gone viral about the little white girl Haley arguing with her parents about black people. And what I want to raise to white folks' awareness, because she's being touted and heralded as "Go Haley," and I appreciate what Haley's doing, and she's young, and she's doing something, and so I appreciate it. But here's where conversations with white people miss the boat, and what y'all are missing in these conversations. Haley was having a conversation about black people. Haley was arguing with her parents about whether or not black people were worthy of life. Literally. The fact that that is a conversation is the problem. And that is actually what it was that Haley needed to be pointing out. Haley needed to be pointing out that whiteness and white people are so bereft of humanity that they will have a conversation about whether another group of people deserve to live. That white people need to be talking about whiteness. Stop talking about how hard black people are suffering like that is happening in a vacuum. Like black people are suffering at the hands of some amorphous blob we call the system. Black people aren't suffering at an amorphous blob called the system. Black people are suffering at the hands of whiteness and white people who live inside the delusions of white supremacy and construct systems and structures to enact the delusions of white supremacy. And so the conversation doesn't need to be about whether or not black people are struggling in the ghetto. The conversation needs to be about why white people made a ghetto. The conversation needs to be about why white people made chattel slavery. The conversation needs to be about why white people created redlining. The conversation needs to be about why white people created mission assignments in black and brown countries and then went to murder them. The conversation needs to be about why white people needed colonialism. White people need to start asking about their whiteness. Stop sitting around the table with your family debating about whether or not I deserve to live. The fact that you can have that conversation is the root. It is the root of the sickness that is white supremacist delusion. That white people actually have the right to sit around their kitchen tables and debate the humanity of other people's existence. Stop. When you find yourself in a debate about whether or not black people are worthy, the work is to stop in that moment and say, this conversation is white supremacy. We are sick. And don't not include yourself when you're talking to your family. We are sick. Do you hear us talking about some other group of people as if they are some sort of object? What in us objectifies other people? What in us makes us want to do that? What in us has made it so that we created the concept of blackness? What in us is so detached from our own sense of humanity that we could watch people be murdered on video and still go on about our regular lives like there's no big deal? What in us is so disconnected from any sense of compassion that we have had to construct system after system after system to try to tell ourselves that we're better than everyone else? As soon as you start talking about other people, stop and start talking about whiteness. Start talking about your own, not even complicity, your own shovel and bricks that you have been laying into the system of white supremacist delusion. That's what you need to do. That's what Haley needed to stop that whole conversation and say, we are sick. Listen to us. Right now we are debating a whole group of people's lives like they're some sort of object. What in us makes us feel like we would even have the right to do that? What's wrong with us? That's the question. That's the conversation I want white people to start having with your family members. What's wrong with us? What's wrong with us that this whole system of policing that was born out of slave catching, that we still even want this? What are we so afraid of inside of ourselves that we've constructed an entire world of disconnection and violence to protect us from ever having to look at ourselves? That's the work of whiteness right now. Not to be sitting around having conversations about what black people doing with the shambles that you have left our community in. You need to be talking about why you are inclined to leave the world in shambles. Not walking through the shambles talking about, look at the mess y'all left here. No, look at the mess you left here. So I appreciate Haley as a young person trying to figure out how to challenge the ideas of her parents. But the problem is that she's challenging the ideas of her parents on the bodies of black people. And the conversation is need not be in your house when you arguing with your white family about black people. The conversation in your house needs to be about the sickness that is whiteness. The sickness that is whiteness that created the police force and pays the police force to put their knees on our necks until we die. That's the system that you need to be talking to your white family about, why they are so deeply invested in. And what in them is so bereft of connection that they've constructed the kind of heinous violence that we see all around us. It's time to turn the conversation towards you, white people, and turn the conversation towards what whiteness has wrought in this world and how you excavate it from yourself so that we might all survive.